Americans, as I said, have a fundamental right to know about any and all safety issues tied to the COVID vaccines. And the government's unlawful stonewall on this issue suggests they have something to hide. Judicial Watch has filed a series of lawsuits, and we've been filing a series of lawsuits to find out the truth about COVID. Its origins, the policy that resulted in the really destruction for a good period of time of the American economy, the vaccines, the abuses associated with the vaccines, the cover-ups related to China, everything you could think to ask. Judicial Watch has not only been asking about under the Freedom of Information Act, but we've been suing about in federal court. And pretty much everything you know about COVID in terms of what happened with China and things like that is the result of Judicial Watch FOIA lawsuits. I know it to be the case. I get calls from members of Congress and senators asking for our documents because they don't have them. We have them. Then we just don't sit on our laurels saying, well, we filed that lawsuit, we can just wait. No, we file additional lawsuits. The American people, for instance, have the fundamental right to know about the safety and efficacy of these vaccines, these COVID vaccines. Now, the left media and the deep state health state, the Fauci agencies, WHO, we're not allowed to ask questions about the vaccines. All reasonable questions you could ask about any other drug, you're not allowed to ask about the vaccines. And if you do ask the questions, you'll be censored. But we don't back down. We not only ask the questions, we go to court to vindicate our right to know the answers to them. And accordingly, we have sued HHS, the Health and Human Services Department, which is the gargantuan agency that overruns or oversees, I guess overruns may be a Freudian slip, all these other government agencies that you may be familiar with because of COVID, NIH and Fauci's NIAID. I hate using acronyms. Whenever I'm editing material for Judicial Watch, unless it's like the IRS or the FBI, something that obviously everyone knows, I say, don't call these government agencies by their acronyms. People in DC hesitate to figure out what all the acronyms mean, let alone people outside of DC. So that's the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. So that's Fauci's agency. So we sued HHS for communications about the vaccines. Specifically, their safety. Now, there's been controversy about whether the federal government has been adequately tracking these adverse event reports. Now, what are adverse event reports? There's a system in place related to vaccines that encourages people who think they've had an adverse event related to a vaccine to report it to the federal government through this reporting system. And doctors can do it, nurses can do it, healthcare providers can do it, doctors can do it, your personal physician, and you can do it. And it doesn't mean you're allowed to, under law, to mess with the system and report something fraudulent and issue fake reports. In fact, you can be prosecuted if you do so. And the government encourages you to do so. Now, if you listen to the left media, they say, oh, no, stay away from it. Oh, and you can't draw any conclusions from the VAERS reporting system. Well, that, I think, is scientifically accurate, and the government says that just because something's on the system doesn't mean there's a causal link. Now, the mirror of that is, it doesn't mean there isn't a causal link, but you can't draw a conclusion one way or another. Now, the media wants you to believe, well, you can't draw any conclusions based on what you see in VAERS. The other big issue is VAERS cataloging and capturing all the negative side effects of the vaccines. Now, if the vaccines are working and they're doing great things, maybe, this is the risk-benefit analysis people have. I mean, to me, as citizens, you have a right to look at this database and draw your own conclusions about whether you want to take the vaccine based on what you find. The government, the big left media operations don't believe that. I do. I don't know. I guess I believe in freedom. Small little thing like that. So essentially we sued the FDA, now which is also under HHS. And this is what we asked for. All emails sent to and from members of the Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee regarding adverse events, deaths and/or injuries caused by investigatory vaccines for the prevention or treatment of SARS-CoV-2 and/or COVID-19 currently produced by Pfizer BioNTech, Moderna, and/or Johnson & Johnson. Now, that committee we sued for information about, quote, reviews and evaluates data concerning the safety, effectiveness, and appropriate use of vaccines and related biological products which are intended to use in the prevention, treatment, or diagnosis of human diseases, and as required, any other products for which the Food and Drug Administration has regulatory responsibility. So we sued, we didn't get any information. What are they hiding? Americans, as I said, have a fundamental right to know about any and all safety issues tied to the COVID vaccines. And the government's unlawful stonewall on this issue suggests they have something to hide. Do you agree? So we'll see where this lawsuit goes, but we are not going to stop. Now you may question, well, maybe they don't have anything. Well, of course they always have something. But we already have an admission, and this is a story I think 3 or 4 weeks ago in the New York Times, that they had been withholding certain COVID vaccine data. I don't think it was necessarily adverse events, but maybe it was. Maybe it was something having to do with deaths from COVID from people who are vaccinated. And they were purposely withholding the data because they made the political decision that if the data came out, the American people might misinterpret the safety and efficacy of the vaccines. They told the New York Times that. So they admit they're withholding material that we have a right to see concerning our health, safety, and welfare for political reasons. Thank God we're in court over this.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.